Good morning, everyone. Uh, so when these guys asked me to speak, it was all about really physical automation and some case studies of how we've applied design thinking to physical automation and code. So I'm going to take around 25 minutes and just give you a few case studies. But I'm not a salesperson. I'm a technologist. However, I am obligated by our sales team to start with a few obligatory sales slides. So who is Kenco? Some of you may know who we are. We are one of the largest privately held third-party logistics providers in North America. I'm not going to read all this fast. She does a whole lot of stuff in because sales stuff. But what I will say is Inbound Logistics just released the latest ranking, and we're very proud of being number 2 in the top 3 deals because that is a customer-driven survey. They monitor the IP addresses that send in the survey, so we can't vote for ourselves. So we're very proud of that. We are on track to be a $2 billion company in the next year. So a lot of growth over the last few years and a lot of back in the automation space. So verified lead to success. So innovation at Kenco. A few years ago, Kenco's leaders made the decision that we needed to have our own dedicated innovation team, even though we provide service to our customers versus product. And so we opened our innovation lab, which is about 10 to 12,000 square feet of warehouse space, and it is in a 200-year-old, dirty, dusty, hot, cold, humid warehouse in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So it's right about now, end of August, 1st of September. It is really hot and really humid. So if the automation solutions can work in that environment, they can work at pretty much any warehouse. So my job is to test all of those things. So you can see some of the statistics. We've done a lot of vetting of technologies. I will brag a little bit. I have put a couple of robotics companies out of business because they could not survive in the environment that I put them in. And they were really great technologists, but they weren't listening to what I was saying about how it has to work in the supply chain. And that's not exists because our Fortune 500 companies expect us when we bring a technology to them that it's going to work and it's going to work well. So that's who we are, and we are design thinking absorbed. So I didn't know Ken before this morning, but I loved his first 2 slides that he opened with because it is the core value of what is design thinking. So design thinking is all about human-centric. It's getting with the man on the floor, it's understanding the customer. It's what is needed at the core of that person's soul to be successful. And so it's about designing from the human approach. And so it's also about unconstrained, meaning blank sheet of paper, brainstorming to try to figure out the right solution to deliver to that human in the moment. So that is what is design thinking is for what you do. So this is a painful thing. So really for us, we've adapted the design thinking methodology to these 5 critical steps within the process. This afternoon, right after lunch, we're going to come back in this room and we're going to do 5 exercises around brainstorming in 50 minutes. So we're going to move really quickly, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But the goal is to try to help you think differently about the same problem you've always had. Again, that unconstrained blank page, start thinking on your supply chain from if there were no money issues, there were no resource issue, and there were no time issues, what would my supply chain look like? So that's why number 2 circle. That's the piece of design thinking we're going to learn a little bit more about this afternoon. But I'll tell you that a considerable amount of time going into these other steps with my customers. That discovery on the front end, what is the pain point? But if you go ask somebody what the pain point is, it's whatever happened in the last 15 minutes. It's not really going to be what the pain point is. So there's a technique called ethnographic interviewing that is part of design thinking. That allows you to learn how to ask the questions in such a way that the human will reveal more than they thought they would ever reveal. I'll give you that information. And then once you pass the brainstorming phase, you're going into how do we define the solution or go find the solution in some cases. So you're going to see a lot of case studies of things that we have done at Kenco. They're commercially available solutions, all of them. I have a lot that are not, but we're just talking about pure automation today for some of those. And so then we moved into, once we're redesigned, into really getting automation into our customer's facility if we're talking about the automation solution. So a lot of folks are talking about what's happening in the marketplace and why automation and then why now. And I'm not going to repeat those drivers of what's happening with automation, so I will say this. The growth is exponential. And if you go on Google today, I didn't go this morning, so maybe a little lot. But if you look up the words warehouse automation or distribution automation, you will get over 1 billion hits, right? 121 billion hits. How do you know what you need to bring into your facility as an automation fit, right? And so that's where we help our customers with design thinking. And what we're being asked for is a whole lot of flexibility, a lot less rigidity, and a lot less CapEx outlay, and more ability to get my entire pot profile changes tomorrow. Can you handle it? Can fulfill? It just really helps you do well in today's market. So I'm going to show you some examples. So one of the first implementations we did of hardware assay was Locus Robotics in one of our e-com facilities. And so design thinking always starts with a how might be question for a lot of reasons, but how might be implies there is an answer, we can figure it out, and it's a team that's going to be different. So we were looking to improve our picking productivity, we were looking to reduce human travel within the facility, and they had a customer who was a high volatile market. If you're not familiar with startups in the e-com space, they have no idea how to predict the net. No. And so their forecasting capabilities are practically don't exist. You just have to guess. So we needed something that could be really flexible with us. So we ended up choosing Locus, and you could see some of the results of that choice. I will go back a little bit and echo again what Ken said, though. The reason why this was successful is because we got the people on the floor involved. And one of their first questions that the robots take my job. No, the robots will take your job. The robots will allow us to stop using so much temporary labor and focus on our tenured employees. The robots will allow you to upskill and learn new things that you could do versus just walking around picking orders. So rather than relegating your people to the mundane, robots allow them to elevate to new skill sets. And so that's what we focused on, is how we upskill our employees at Connect. So that was Locus. We are in the process right now. Locus is a great product. Also deploying automotives and Beret Orange for a couple of CBT customers. Very different use cases. So as we walked into those design thinking sessions to say, how do we help this customer automate and what is the future of their warehouse going to look like? We went through this entire design thinking process to say, What do you need to look like 3, 5, 10 years from now? And we chose these solutions specifically because they fit their pain points and their vision of their future. And so it was really important to say, look, we 3PL and are going to tell you, you have to use this robot because this is in our tech stack. We will figure out whichever robot's best for you, and then we will deploy it for you. Right? And the way we done that, shameless plug, is with Netlogistik and SVT Robotics, who you're going to hear from a little bit later today. So in those instances, we had to bring the right technology, the electron. That's part of that design thinking concept. For another customer, they have a lot of club orders, high CBD volume, and they were looking for how do we store those things near the dock that we know are going to go out on a regular basis every week to those club stores, Sam's Club, Costco, those kind of things. So they chose the provider of the solution, and then they said, okay, you go deploy. Then here's how he wanted to get to full. So there was my design thinking initially. Keep in mind, initially. And the project was failure. Flat out, no. We came back through and said, okay, let's apply design thinking to this miserable failure that you guys have had, because this is not a working solution for you. They chose not to integrate it with their WMS, first of all. Second one. Number two, very heavy product. They wanted to get more in the deep shovel lanes, so they turned them out sideways. So they were being stored long ways across, which means they bowed in the middle, right? Just lots of challenges with this one. This was an instance of not getting on the forward and figuring out what the product looked like and what the work looked like. So women read through our design thinking exercise, and these are the things that came up with. And we helped them redesign this. Now it's a very successful implementation. But I'll tell you, for them, that is a little over an edge and a half for an experience. So I recommend you to, put in the future. Bring that down to understand supply chain, to understand product, and you are on the floor and know how to work with. From Things to Automation, this is high CapEx, so let me caveat that a little bit. And I know AutoStore is going to talk to us later today, but we've implemented 2 AutoStore now. One dedicated to a specific industrial client who has 8,000 SKUs in one building. We put 35,000 of them in this AutoStore, and it was about an 18-month payback, giving up to $9 million costs. So they reduced their footprint by about 40%. So they were able to densify the warehouse, if that's a word, and really look at how do we process our orders better, faster, cheap, opposite. The second one, we just deployed the press release on that a couple of weeks ago in a multi-tenant environment in DCOM in our commerce campus, and we'll have less than 6 months ROI on this one. We're already looking at, literally just went live about a month ago. We're looking at how do we sing it. We already got full. We're trying to figure out how to go to the next level of it. So this one, we were using AMRs in this facility, and we weren't able to move fast enough and get enough density. So the challenge we had in that particular facility, and this was evolution to some extent, as we went through the design thinking process, the problem was we weren't utilizing, the therapeutic high in the warehouse that we had. So we look at it and do a mezzanine, could do an AutoStore with BI. So far, while it's successful, looking to expand. And then here are some ways that we have done some design thinking exercises and figure out how to use robots unconventionally. So most people think of drones as robots, but they are. And so we're working with 2 different startup companies in the drone space, doing inventory. Again, 2 very different use cases. And one drone doesn't solve the first use case, and the other drone solves that use case, but not another. And so we are constantly at forefront of trying to find the emerging technology that our customer needs. We're also given trash collection of robots. We have in those AutoStore facilities a lot of high trash takeaway needs, right, with the decanting product and indicting it into the AutoStore. So that was another way we found to move product again, back to my point of relegating the human to the mundane. Let's figure out how we don't do that And so I didn't need somebody using a pallet jack and running trash all over the warehouse. How do we let a robot do that thing? And then we've got 20 plus probably robotic scrubbers implemented. Again, trying to not have to have my humans scrubbing the floor of a warehouse if I could help it. Let the sweeper scrubber do that. We have a lot of food and beverage, CPG, pharmaceutical type warehouses. We're trying to use, again, not the human to do that sort of mundane work, if that makes sense. So I wanted to challenge you just a little bit. People think about automation in terms of physical automation. We have found significant success with robotic process automation. How many of you are familiar with RPA? Several. We started our journey 2 years ago, and we're over $5 million in savings now with RPA for our customers. And it simply is no code automation of simple things that people do all day. In the 3PL space, there's an awful lot of Excel spreadsheet manipulation on behalf of our customer. I need this information from my system and this information from my system, this information combined. So, and I need you to take that once a day, or I need you to roll that up and email it to me, and this report format that I want to see. With RPA, we were able to automate all of that, and the human never touches it again. And so the savings are significant. And again, I'll say this again, the human is not relegated to that mundane, busy work with a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. So we've done a lot within our finance group to automate processes. We've got a lot with retail shipping portals. So you have to ship to retailers, you have to log into the Amazon.com, you have to follow the Target and the Walmart and all of those and confirm your information when you ship parcels to them. All of that's named RPA. We even have customers emailing us about, can I get more information about this particular customer order? The RPA is stripping that information out, building in our system, finding the information, and responding to the email. So there's a little bit of AI applied to it, so we build an intelligent RPA. But we continue to do design thinking around how we eliminate all of that manual process. And by the way, its side effect is we've generated a ton of savings in that accuracy department, right? So the data accuracy of the human said, man, let me take this spreadsheet, come out with this one until I need to enter that column, and let me input this data manually. All that's gone away. The data is now in 99.99% accurate because I have a computer doing the work. The map is in map, that makes sense. So we had a lot of success with those sorts of applications. So I'll kind of close it all up by saying this. Listen, automation is here to stay. It's not going away. And a lot of our customers are very much looking at it in the sense of it doesn't have to have a true positive ROI in less than 18 months, which used to be the big thing I face every time I came in with an innovation. Particularly Rook's CapEx heavy. Today is much more about what I'll call labor resilience. So we know, and statistics will bear this out, that in the next 10 to 15 years, the available workforce that wants to be in a warehouse making boxes is going to be a lot less than what exists today. And so knowing that impending, looming challenge is going to face us and a crisis is there, a lot of our customers are going to let me know it's going to be costly to invest in automation right now, but we're going to do it because we're going to be ready for what's coming down pike at 5 to 10 years. And so they're looking at this as a cost avoidance versus a positive savings arc. So part of design thinking is challenging those norms to the way you always thought of things. Instead of having to go around putting together a business case, a supply is a little different in today's work. This is where you have to get out of your box and think differently about the same challenges you've always had. How are you going to face what's coming in the future? How are you going to be resilient in the next pandemic hits? My vision doesn't happen. And how are you going to be resilient when you can't find workers if only have workers in there? Some of the other work we're doing is around how do we make that work attractive to the younger generation? How do we allow them to play video games and yet they're actually in boxes down warehouse that they could play in video? a lot of work going into designing for the workforce of the future and allowing us to be resilient around that. Like I said, we service a lot of Fortune 500 companies. They're terrified of what's going to become like. And let us be ready. Read is about. I will say this. Innovation is about collaboration. And so we do a lot of strategic design thinking with our customers. It's not Ken has sitting in a box and well, let's go talk to people on floor and let's think about how they solve these problems. It's very much collaborative effort between us and our customers. They're telling us where they're going. We're telling them how we can help them get there. And so a lot of that discovery work on the front end is done with the intervening and figuring out what they're trying. But at the end of the day, innovation is only about people. It is applied. Deliver something of value to the customer. And that's what I'm measured on every day at Gage. And out of IT, I could be measured on implementing a WMS system. Does that implementation get well? That's not our world anymore. Go find me a solution that doesn't exist, and let's see if it can get it implemented, and here's how it did it get implemented well? Is it going to solve a problem for the customer? Is the customer happy? Is it going to generate safety? Or is it going to generate cost avoidance or a future state better state, if that makes sense? So practical application of how I do this of innovation using this design making note methodology can draw value through automation because it can allow you to choose the right automation of the right kind that will lead you into a nimble, flexible document, if that makes sense. So after lunch, we are going to do a workshop, and we're going to play it at the brainstorming aspect, and that's what most people think of when they think of innovation. It's not just sticky notes and a bunch of ideas and that's brainstorm. And it is, and we're going to have fun doing that. But I'm going to take you through some exercises that hopefully will get you out of your box and help you think a little bit differently about how to solve problems in today's world. I think I did some work close to time, so if we have any questions.